Hey, Pretty Committee. I'm your host, Traviana.
And I'm your co-host, Allie.
And this is the Prettiest podcast.
Yes, you guys, we have so much to talk about today and unpack. So we are so excited to bring it to you guys.
We're so excited about this episode. We're going to be talking about the beauty of being single, from toxic to thriving, and self-love.
Yes, you guys. And we know coming out of a relationship and being single, especially if you were in a long-term relationship, it can be hard.
It can be really hard. It can be devastating. It can be depressing. It can be all that and above.
And honestly, you really feel like you have to find yourself again.
Yeah.
After these relationships and after these connections. So we want to talk about that.
We want to talk about getting back to you. Self-love, self-care, hobbies, solo traveling, all and above. Because it's important to learn who you are before going back into another serious relationship, because we believe that you don't have to change yourself to make someone else happy. You be happy and the right person will find you.
The right person, that's key. The right person will find you. Your person is out there, and I truly believe that.
Yeah.
Take it from a single girl.
From single girlies, honey.
Period. From single girlies. Take it from us, because being single can be a very beautiful thing.
It can be a very beautiful thing. And I want to go into like the subject of self-discovery and solo traveling, because I feel like when you get out and you travel, I feel like that's a part of getting to know yourself, the cultures that you resonate with, the things that you like. And I have a story about solo traveling that some of you may or may not know, but I did take a solo trip with me and my son to Costa Rica for a few months.
I remember this, y'all. I remember this.
And a time was had, but more importantly, I really did discover who I wanted to be as a person. And I feel like that trip alone really kind of set like the foundation of who I wanted to be. I did come out of a serious relationship, which was the father of my child. My child was maybe a few months, maybe just over a year. He was just over a year. So I was coming out of a serious relationship, and I took a leap of faith. And it was really just about getting to know myself. And so I think solo traveling is a very great way to really just connect with yourself, have fun with yourself, and see what you really like.
And that's actually really such a fun thing. Yeah. Like, I know I'm already a person who enjoys like doing things solo. Yeah. Like, and I feel like that's the time where you really don't have any other distractions. Yes. Like, you really don't have anything kind of making you feel like, oh, this is who I should be, this is who I should show up as. You are able to take that time and figure out, no, who do I want to show up as? Who do I want to be? And I feel like, you know, when we're in relationships, you can kind of lose yourself. Yes. Especially when you've been with someone for so long. Right. My girls that do like the long term like I do. I feel like I'm either like single for a while or I'm in a relationship for a long time. For me, I feel like you can definitely lose yourself in relationships.
Yes, you can.
And I feel like sometimes you try to mold yourself into what you think will fit the relationship that you're in at the time. And I feel like, and I won't say just women, I do feel like it is easier for us to do that and feel like we have to change who we are. And I know, like, I've done that. Like, I know I felt this pressure of trying to be what my partner wanted me to be, trying to show up as the woman that my partner, like his dream girl. Like, I definitely have been like a victim of that.
Literally like, a victim.
I've been a victim of that. And it's not to even put the blame on another person.
Right.
Because I won't say a person just asked me, even though it might have been like, you know, insinuations or little like, oh, I wish you would do this. Or, you know, but I feel like it's very easy for us to lose ourselves in relationships.
It is. It's really easy, especially when you want the relationship to work.
And that's the thing. When you want the relationship to work, and I feel like especially if you're like a lover girl who loves love, like I feel like you'll go to the lengths of trying to make it work before you just be like, no, because when it's your person, you won't have to do all
you
that.
Will not, and that's a big thing about being single. You will understand that sometimes you will change yourself and still not get the outcome that you wanted.
Oof.
You know?
Go ahead.
No, I'm just gonna say I was just gonna say you will change yourself and still not get the outcome that you want. So just be yourself.
And that's what I think, like, being single is like what I learned.
Yeah.
Because I feel like you think, like, I know for me, and I feel like I've said this in like past episodes, like I feel like I would do things like really outside of the person, more based on the outcome that I wanted. Like that fantasy that was in my head, that I was like, okay, well, maybe if I do this, like, we'll get to that end goal of like what I was looking for, what I was like longing to have within my relationship. I feel like that's what I was doing. But when you actually are single and you take a step back, you start to realize, like, that's not like the way it's supposed to be.
It's not the way it's supposed to be, because whoever is for you and whoever truly loves you, they will accept you for who you are. Yeah. Not for who they want you to be, not for who they think you should be, but for who you are. And I think when you become single, because at the end of the day, everybody has a single period. And it's not just a waiting period. It's a time for you to really discover yourself. Yeah. And so during that period, you get to discover what you want in a relationship, what you don't want in a relationship, who you want to be in a relationship, who you don't want to be in a relationship, things that you will tolerate, things that you won't tolerate. And I think being single is a time that you can really cater to yourself and pour into yourself, and not have to worry about pouring into someone who won't pour back into you. Or just that disappointment, you know? And of course, sometimes you get alone and you get lonely, and you know what I'm saying? You want that, you want someone. But I think the best thing about being single is that it's less disappointment, you know? Ooh, it's less disappointment when you're single. But not to say single is the end goal, because but I do feel like there's beauty in being single.
I do, like you said, I do feel like there is beauty in being single. Like, falling back in love with yourself.
Yes.
Falling
That's a
back
big
in
thing.
love with yourself. I feel like it's a thing of, like, I feel like I always say this, and it's really about, like, love on yourself the way that you love on others. Yes. And I always say that. Yeah. And it's like, imagine that, and then imagine what you would allow in your life and what you would not. Because there's things, when we love on people, it's certain things you won't do to them. It's certain things, like, you'll love them for who they are. You'll accept them, accept their flaws. And it's like, do the same thing for yourself. Do the same thing. And I really, what you just said that I really loved is like, sometimes instead of looking at it like, oh my God, I'm single, this breakup just happened, it was so horrible, it's kind of like looking at it in a sense of where it's like, well, now I know what I don't want. Yes. Now I know what I do want. Now I know what standards I have, and what I want to not only just hold myself accountable for, I want to hold my partner up to as well. Exactly. So it's like, really, sometimes you have to go through these relationships, and sometimes you have to get to the point where you are single to kind of realign. Yeah. Realign with who you are, realign with what you really want in your life. I definitely feel like that.
And you know, one of the things that I really enjoy about being single, and it might be different for others, but when I'm single, my relationship with God always become more closer. It becomes
that
more
heartbreak will do it.
That heartbreak. We do it.
That heart,
Lord.
What's going on?
That's who we call on. Okay. And that's one of my kind of things that I really do enjoy about being single. You know, is that my relationship with God gets bigger. It gets greater, it gets stronger. Yes, you know, and I think that's also a time that you can take while being, and you should practice your relationship with God with a relationship
with your partner,
with your partner. But sometimes, you know, when we get in a relationship, our relationship with God unfortunately comes on a back burner if our partner is not as big with their relationship with God. Yeah. And sometimes we experience that. And so when you're single, you can prioritize your relationship with God. You can read your Bible more. You can go to church more, even if you're with someone who doesn't see God the way you see God.
Yeah.
You know, that's your time to be like, hey, I can really build my relationship with God and not have someone distracting me or not have someone. And like I said, the end goal is to be with someone who appreciates and loves God just the way you love God.
Yeah.
But sometimes, like I said, when we're young, we get into relationships where God is not the forefront. God is not first. And so that's one of the things that I value when being single. Is kind of like that reality check. Like, hey,
like I need
God, yes,
Lord,
come close.
Please
let me come close because he's always there. But yeah, and so that brings me to like hobbies. Like when you're single, you can get into hobbies, like, and it can be literally anything under the sun. But I feel like sometimes our hobbies are our hidden talents, and I feel like that can really grow us as a person. You know, like saying that we have a hobby that we can indulge in, and I feel like that's one of those things that makes you happy, and it goes into self-care.
And I definitely feel like one of my favorite things of like the beauty or things that I find beautiful about being single, besides the Lord, is you have your freedom.
Yeah.
You have your freedom, you have your independence without having the outside noise, without having to feel like you have to live up to someone else's standards. And you know, just being able, like you said, to really go and find yourself, find what hobbies you like, find the things that interest you. That way when you do decide to go back out into the dating world, you are like, no, I know what I want.
Right.
You know, I know what I want, I know what I don't want. I know what aligns with me and what doesn't align with me, and I don't have to change myself for that.
Exactly.
And when I say change, I don't mean that you don't have to compromise with your partner. Exactly. I don't mean that you don't, you know, have to, there won't be arguments or anything like that. I just mean like your core values do not have to change.
Exactly.
You know, your core values, you do not have to become put on the back burner.
Exactly.
What you want, what you truly desire, who you are as a human being does not have to change to be with your dream person or your dream partner. Like that does not have to change.
Yeah.
You are the dream partner for your dream partner.
Exactly. Yeah. And you know, you hear that a lot when it comes to relationships where they say, I gave up my dreams for you. I put my dreams on hold for you. I put my business, my, you know, on hold for you so you can pursue yours. So and this is a time to realize like, I'm going to go full thrive with my dreams and full thrive with my business, because a lot of times, especially as women, like sometimes it can be a little bit different for men. You know, it could be a little different for men.
I'm not gonna lie, I wish that was a trait that we had. And I feel like a lot of us kind of lose sight of that. Like I feel like, no shade to men, because there maybe are some men that are not like that. Yeah. But I feel like that's one of the things with men. Men are not afraid to choose themselves first.
High key.
They're not afraid to put themselves first. They genuinely are not.
They're not.
And the thing is, I think I don't even think it's I think it's a selfish thing, but I think it's more of, I have to be who I am.
Yeah.
And whoever else is in my circle, like they're meant to, like, if you rocking with it, you rocking with it. If you're not, you're not. Basically.
You're not.
You know, and I feel like if more women kind of like, if we like really embodied that and really were like, no, like, you know what I'm saying? And not even it's my way or the highway type thing, but it's like, this is my puzzle, and if you fit, you fit.
You fit. And you know what I think it is, as far as men? I think it's more so that they have an easier time with survival mode.
And I feel like another thing is that a lot of men weren't raised to be soft.
Yeah.
They weren't there. And I think when we think masculine, I think when we think men, we think like tough. You think rugged. You think like what's that word? You just think like very much like tough and rugged and willing to like keep pushing. And I feel like men take that and they think like, I can't be soft in these areas.
Right.
You know?
Exactly.
And that's why I feel like a lot of men struggle with like emotional intelligence. Not all.
Not all.
Not all, and I want to say that not all. Okay, you guys, so we really want to get into relationship myths. Some things that you guys can take and see, like, is this really true or is this really just for the birds?
For the birds. Tweet a tweet.
Tweet a tweet.
Literally.
So what is one that you think is a relationship myth? What's one thing that you hear all the time?
That love fixes everything.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Because at the end of the day, love does not fix everything. It is really some things that cannot be fixed with love. You can love this person to the end of the world, and the world after that, and the world after that, but it won't fix certain things like communication problems.
You just took the words out. And these are the things that you realize once you are single, that love does not fix all. Sometimes it has to take that time of being single to realize, like, actually, I do need communication. Yeah. Actually, I want to talk about my feelings. I want to feel validated. Yeah. I feel like that good relationships are effortless. I feel like that is the biggest like relationship myth that there is, because even though I feel like I do believe that anything that is of God, anything that's of God will flow.
Yes.
I feel like that for sure. But I also feel like that there's gonna be times where you guys disagree. There's gonna be times where you guys argue, and you're gonna have to come to like, okay, let's figure this out. But do I feel like it's different? Yes. I feel like for sure that you'll realize like good relationships take work.
High key. I feel like anything in life takes work. It's nothing that you're going to accomplish is without work. You have to put in that work.
And it's one of those things, especially, you know, you have to think you guys might have been raised differently, come from different backgrounds. That real love is like, I want to understand you.
Yes.
You know, I want to understand where you're coming from, so I know how to move forward and move differently.
Exactly.
And it's really more about hearing each other, you know? So that's what I feel like one of the relationship myths that they are, because relationships are not effortless. It's not going to be peaches and creams. It's not going to be run off into the sunset. Like, there's going to be moments where you want to chop your partner's head off. It's going to be moments.
And send it off.
And send it off, you know? But that's another thing, like having God at the center of your relationship. Yes. Lord, don't let me chop his head off today.
Yes. Literally. Lord, I'm going to pray for us.
I'm going to pray. And that's the thing. I'm going to pray for us.
Yeah.
Lord, give me like discernment. And give me, actually, let me listen to this man with an open heart.
With an open heart, open ears.
Yes, open ears and an open heart. So that's like one of the things. What's another one that you feel like is
another relationship myth that I feel is that a ring will fix relationship flaws.
What they do?
Because no. Because whatever you do in a relationship, if you get a ring, it does not magically disappear.
It doesn't.
It doesn't magically solve anything. You might go through that honeymoon phase again. You might feel on a high.
Yeah.
Of course. But when that, you know, you come off of that high of getting engaged and all of that fun stuff and the engagement party, you still have, if you are dealing with a partner who has flaws, major flaws, you still have to deal with that.
I feel like if anything, once you've decided to get married and be like together as one, it's harder.
It's harder.
Because it's not just like, oh, I can walk up and leave.
Yes.
I can get up and just leave and walk out. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, no, like, we're actually going to have to work on this.
Yes.
It's not like, I'm upset and I'm gone. See,
yes.
You're blocked. It's not that anymore.
It's not that anymore. I feel like once you get a ring, literally what you just said, it makes things harder.
And and when I say harder, it just makes it to where it's actually more work.
Yes.
Because that is a lifetime type of thing. And I feel like also whatever problems that you had prior to getting married, if those issues aren't resolved, if both of you guys aren't really like taking the step to work on those things, they literally will carry themselves into your marriage.
Into the marriage, high key.
Like
definitely.
They will.
You'll be saying I do to a lot of things that you could avoid if you learn. And that's what being single is all about, is learning your do's and don'ts. That's some things I will not tolerate.
Yeah.
You know, and some things you won't understand until you're single, and then you jump back into the relationship scene and you're like, oh no, I can't deal with that.
Yeah.
Because I feel like a lot of people will jump into a relationship quickly to find happiness, to find comfort, to find a feeling.
And you want to know something? Just realizing like, okay, Lord, I trust you.
Yes.
And I know that I have this vision for my love life and my partner, my husband, my wife. Like, I know I have this vision, and really just trusting God that your person is out there and understanding that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what's another relationship myth that you could think of?
Another one?
Yeah.
That's really kind of like tea.
Yes.
Is that intimacy is sex. Like, the only form of intimacy is sex. I feel like that is a huge myth, because
that's a huge
and I
myth.
think it's just a myth because people really don't understand what intimacy is.
And
I think when you think intimate, you think like, oh, sexy time, like it's sexy time,
right?
You know what I'm saying? But like, no, intimacy can really be like laughing together.
Yeah.
Intimacy can be going to the grocery store together, working out together, reading together. Like, intimacy is more than just sex. You know what I'm saying?
I feel like, honestly, a lot of people don't understand that intimacy starts with the mind. Ooh, because a lot of times clock that T. A lot of times intimacy, not even a lot of times, all the time, intimacy starts with the mind.
That is tea.
A lot of people don't know that. A lot of people don't understand
that. That is y'all, that is such tea.
That is such tea, because some people, I don't even know the word, y'all can look it up, but it's a word where someone can literally stimulate your mind and you're just kind of like woo, like about it. And there's a lot of time where it's just like you can do the same exact thing with someone else but don't feel that intimacy. You can have a sexual relationship with someone else
and lack the
intimacy. Ooh. And so intimacy is literally in the mind. I would say it's in the heart, but I don't even think it's in the heart. No, it could be an intimacy in the heart. It could be a little bit in the heart. Though. But intimacy is more in the mind.
Y'all clock that tea.
Because I can really like look at somebody and the way they talk to me, the things that they say. It makes my mind. Y'all don't
understand how much tea that was.
That was tea.
That was really tea.
I love that. I say that because I was in a relationship where I fell in love with someone and we did not have sex. We did not have sex, but I fell in love with them. I fell in love with their mind. I fell in love with the things they taught, with things they said. Okay, you know what I mean?
Okay. Side note.
We love a side note.
Would you go on Love Is Blind?
Will I go on Love Is Blind?
Would you do something like that? Do you think you could fall in love with a person that you've never seen before?
Ooh, I would say, okay. I would say I could fall in love with someone I haven't seen before. But this is the thing. It would be hard for me to trust it, because
I feel like it's a dangerous thing.
Yeah, there is a dangerous thing, because
I feel like people can say whatever they want to say.
Exactly.
And then it's like when it's actually time to like live up to it. It's like, but I don't know.
It works for your relationship.
Yeah.
Now,
I agree.
I do believe that men should hold some type of characteristics that women cannot hold, as far as being a leader, as far as discipline, as far as certain things. But when it comes to like overall generals, like a man should not cook, a man should not watch his kids, wash dishes. Like, I'm not for that.
Yeah, I agree. I really feel like you said, it's more about like what works for your relationship. I feel like whatever works for your relationship, that's what you should do, and nobody can really tell you what's gonna work in your relationship.
Exactly.
And I feel like whatever works for you works for you. Yeah. I do agree with you said, like, we're not in the 1800s no more. Like, now I don't know if I want to take out no trash.
Listen,
but that's what's gonna work in my relationship.
But this is my thing, because it's about the beauty of being single. So sometimes
there are certain things that in my relationship that I feel like I am traditional in, but there's also certain aspects in my relationship where I'm non-traditional. Like I'm okay with my man cooking. I'm okay with me cooking. I'm okay with him washing clothes. I'm okay with washing clothes. Like that's and if I got to take out the trash here and there.
Now, if it's a man living in that house, look, I better not take no goddamn trash.
That's why I said, now I ain't mowing no lawn or nothing like that. That heavy duty stuff, or like letting the man carry the groceries and stuff like that, you know. But like I said, I definitely feel like it's about what works in your relationship. What works in your relationship. Nobody can tell you what works in your relationship, what's good for you. Nobody can tell you that. So you kind of have to definitely see about that for you.
Yeah. So yeah, I definitely feel like whatever works for you, and that's another thing about being single is you will understand what you value most and what you can bring to the table. Yes. I feel like if you because at the end of the day, we grow up different, and some people just have better strengths than weaknesses. So you can know, like, hey, even though I'm a woman, I might not can cook. Like I can probably cook, but I probably can't throw down like my grandma used to do. And it's just something that you get to learn about yourself. And where you're single, you can either prove it or you can find somebody who can do it.
And that's, like you said, when you're single, this is when you have the time to actually find out those things and realize these things and really find what really matters to you. What are your actual core values? What are your non-negotiables?
What is your non-negotiable? Because a lot of times I feel like we are ready to be a girlfriend, we are ready to be a wife, but when you're single, you kind of realize, like, maybe I do need to work on myself.
And let's say that, because that's the thing. This is not all about like bashing. Like, being in a relationship,
right?
This is not all about bashing that. But it's all really. It's more about just finding out who you are,
and that's really the beauty of being single. You get to realize what relationship goals and what relationship values really matter to you. And I want to get into a relationship myth or opinion that a lot of people have an opinion on, but what's really tea?
What's tea, y'all?
What's tea? So are we going 50-50? I ain't going 50-50 with a nigga. I'm 100. Okay. Let's talk about it. Ooh, baby, I done dropped the cards. Let's talk about it. So what we doing? We going 50-50, or when we get back into a relationship, and I'm talking about a serious relationship. I ain't talking about no dude you just start talking to.
Yeah. Okay, this is and that's what I was going to say. I feel like, okay, this is my thing. With a man that you are being serious with and you really genuinely plan on living the rest of your life with, I feel like, first off, like, I'm more than willing to meet my man. And I'm not even saying meet him halfway, but I feel like there will be times where it's not going to be 100% all the time. Yeah. He might not be 100% all the time. And if I have to carry the weight, and if I'm able to, like, I will. You know what I'm saying? And that's just more out of the benefit for our family, for us. Now, does that have a time frame? I definitely feel like these are conversations that need to be had. Like, I definitely feel like if it's like, hey, babe, like, I just got laid off, like, I might not be right. I feel like, okay, well, we need to discuss, like, how long I'm about to be having to take over this shit. Like, sure. I feel like those are conversations that should be openly had. Yeah. You know, but do I feel like it's supposed to be like forever and y'all supposed to be going 50-50? No, but I do feel like sometimes a person might be down. And if that's my man, I'm going to hold my man down. But when I say if that's my man, I really mean like, no, this is my husband. This is like my partner until death do us part. Not just some dude I'm just talking to. Like, no, like my man, my husband. Not my man, my husband. And I also feel like when you're single, this is when you're able to kind of gain that perspective. Yes. Like, and when I say perspective, it's like now you kind of know when you get back into the dating scene what you're looking for. Like, do you want to just date, or are you looking for a husband? Because then when I truly feel like there should be standards of what you look for in a husband and what you're doing when you're just dating. I feel like those are two different playing fields.
It is.
They are. I feel like they're two different playing fields.
Because when you're dating a dude that you just want to date, you might ask him for a wig, you might ask him to pay a light bill.
Yeah.
But when you're really dating for marriage, it's a whole different standard.
It's a whole different standard.
This is my thing.
What is your view on it? What is your view on it?
Thing when it comes to the 50-50 situation. Now, because the younger me would have said something different. Would have been like 50-50 cool, like whatever. But now, if a dude cannot support me financially and his family financially, then that's not the dude I need to marry.
But you want to know why I feel like that is? Because you can do that by yourself.
Because I can do it by myself.
So that's what I'm saying. That's why I said I feel like your perspective
is whole different. Because if I feel like as a woman with kids can go out and do what I need to do to support my family, and as a man, you can't do the same, then that's not somebody I want to deal with.
Like, how are you? And it's not even about what you can give me. I feel like it's more about just having that provider instinct that you're actually looking for. It's like, I want a man that is willing to provide. I want a man that's willing to be the head of the house.
Literally. Because a lot of times I think where relationships get icky and sticky is when the financial barrier is a problem and the woman is putting more into the relationship financially than a man. And I feel like, they be like, she don't respect me because she paying most of the bills. But as a man, from a youngin', you should want to be a breadwinner. You should work.
But to be fair, what I will say with that is that's something that's like you're taught. That's something that you're taught. And I feel like sometimes, I'm not gonna shade, but I do feel like sometimes, child, I hope this is not too controversial, but I feel like sometimes that men can be coddled. I feel like they can be, mama's boy. Coddled. And I feel like that's just moms being nurturing and moms being, you know what I'm saying? But
sometimes it can go too far because you shouldn't be 25, 26 living on your mama's couch.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like it's a point to where men are coddled to the point to where, like, they genuinely, like, are catered to.
Literally.
They're literally catered to. And it's one of those things where it's like, that's why I kind of have the idea. It's like, if a man hasn't had the proper
upbringing,
not even upbringing, if a man has not seen a man, if a man has not seen a man, if a man has not seen a man, if a man has not seen these things, then he will not know.
That is tea. Because a lot of men who are not in that role, that man position, that alpha man, like you said, do not have that representation, that standard from their father.
I feel like it's okay to have standards, and I do feel like it's okay if it's like, hey, if I can do this for myself, and I want, because the thing is with a partner should be a add-on.
Yes.
You get what I'm trying to say? So this is my thing. You should be able to already do this for yourself. If you can't do it for yourself, you can't expect nobody else to come into your life and do it for you.
And that's for both. And that's for men and women. You can't expect a man to come in and buy you all this stuff and do all these things for you, and you can't even do it for yourself.
That's like unrealistic. Sorry, that's like an unrealistic expectation to have on somebody. And I feel like that's a expectation that society has put out there, if anything.
For sure.
But I feel like now, if you're out here and you doing that for yourself and you're able to go out here and get this, that's more than fair for you to be like, hey, no,
you need to do this for me.
I want my man to be able to meet me where I'm at. That's okay for you.
And that's very high key. And that's another thing about being single. It's like, you set the standard for the men that you want to attract. Like, if you want to be a woman that can be independently, financially independent, where you pay your own bills, you take your own self shopping, you get your own self, hair and nails did, and then you meet somebody who can't do that, you could be like,
you're more, and I feel like that's the thing though. I feel like it's more than okay for you to expect for your partner to be able to do that for you. That's fair.
For sure.
That's fair.
And this episode was really about being single, but finding you.
And I feel like that's like the key thing. It's like being single and finding yourself.
Yeah, because a lot of people think like, oh, I broke up with this person that I probably felt that I could spend the rest of my life with, or this and so forth. But sometimes God puts you in position to really find yourself and to really find Him. And when you find yourself and you find Him and you make the connection between what God wants you to be, and the vision and the altitude that God wants you to take you, like it's a whole different ballpark. Because a lot of times in relationships we get with someone who view us as right here, and God be like, no, you're up here.
Exactly.
You're up here.
Exactly.
And let me show you
that you're,
and I can't show you until you get out of this relationship. You know what I mean? So sometimes relationships can be very, very hard. But being single can be a very positive thing, and sometimes you just have to stick to the roller coaster because it can be up and down when you're single.
Yeah.
But I promise you, once you find that person that you're supposed to be with, you will realize that you being single and you're healing. It was worth it.
It was worth it.
It was all worth it.
It was totally worth it. Yeah. So I definitely agree.
Yes.
So you guys, we're definitely gonna say, like, we're coming to the end, and like you said, it's one of those things where it's like being single is definitely about finding you. It's definitely about taking that time for yourself and really just enjoying that and trusting in that and going through that journey of it.
For sure.
But yes, we definitely want to say, it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
Definitely.
You guys.
So that's why we have on our pink on this episode. And we just really genuinely want to honor the survivors, and we want to honor the angels that was fighting the breast cancer. And we just want to make sure that you are aware and that you are taking preventive steps to learning about breast cancer, because 1 in 8 women will have breast cancer. That's the statistics at the moment. So you want to make sure that you're doing your research on breast cancer. If you know someone who had breast cancer, or if you have breast cancer, we really just want to honor you. We want to honor the people who are fighting. We want to honor the people who have fought the fight, and we want to honor people who lost the battle.
Definitely. We love that, you guys. Until next time.
Bye.
Bye.